Dr. Mark Changizi here with your Science Moment. A few science moments ago on October 9, 2 days after the October 7 massacre by Islamofascists Hamas against more than 1,000 Israeli civilians, I created a very short 1-minute video. I kind of hyper compressed it because I really wanted to get it down to be short. And I focused on the psychosocietal reaction, right? And I feel like there's too few people noticing this. They're focusing on, here's these reasons for why we should hate Israel, and these reasons. Look, people know me. A lot of you folks know me because I was one of the very small cadre of folks who early in March of 2020 sounded the alarm, the authoritarianism, the COVID authoritarianism alarm. And what I was focusing on, sort of the famous tweet that was concerning the moral of coronavirus 19, will be that the dangers of moral contagion or social contagion are much more severe than that of biological infection, right? Biological contagion. The dangers are mass hysteria. And what one could see if one was paying attention in March of 2020, somewhere around March 10, 11, 12, was a wave going through folks. Suddenly, folks everywhere had a new righteous belief they wanted to stand up and tell everybody about. Again, I've told you about this before. Middle-aged ladies pulling over in their cars and stopping our CrossFit crowd who was working out outside at a middle school, high school, because we weren't allowed to be inside the gym already by around the 15th of March, having the righteous authority to come aggressively attack us. And so we eventually had to pick up our equipment and run away because she just wouldn't stop. That kind of behavior is not normal, right? What you really want to pay attention to and have your finger in the wind, not in terms of following having your opinions flowing in the wind, but you want to be able to sense, where is opinion going? What is happening to the psychosocietal, what are the memes doing, right? What are the memes doing? Where is the narrative suddenly discontinuously changing out of the blue? So we saw that in March of 2020. Suddenly out of the blue, there was a new religion. It was a new religion, I don't even want to grant it the benefits of having the term religion. Religions have undergone selection pressure over long periods of time, and they're probably well designed to do something. This was a cult, right? In 2020, a new righteous zero-COVID cult quickly, overnight, developed, and the whole world got it into their heads that that's what they had to do. And they were willing to violate civil liberties en masse and create outcasts in their family who didn't fully be on board with this, and were willing to mask up all day and create all of these rules and fire people from their jobs. The whole stuff that we've talked about before. They were willing to do this by virtue of a qualitative, discontinuous change in the nature of the state of the mind of society, right? And what we saw October 7 was exactly that kind of discontinuous, sudden change. And it was an irrational one, just as it was in around March 11th of 2020. And let's just mention again the irrationality that I covered in moment 425. Let me just pay attention a little bit detail what happened, right? There had been effectively a ceasefire, to first order, a ceasefire for 18 or so years as Hamas governed, if you want to call it governing, the poor Gazans, right? And then suddenly out of the blue, they break in and they torture, rape, kill, and kidnap, right, more than 1,000 Israeli civilians. Right? It's unambiguous. There's just videos of them proudly doing it and saying they're going to try to do it again, right? Now, on the backdrop of that, the very next day, or even the very same day as people were learning about it, suddenly there was a chorus all across the world of what? Was it sympathy for Israel? Was it holy crap? Hamas, what the actual F did you do? No. The chorus was everybody telling us how evil Israel is. By the 8th, suddenly the whole world, sure, the people that already hated Israel, but no, 10 times, 100 times that many people suddenly had something to tell us, and they couldn't wait. Israel is evil and genocidal, they told us. Right? Again, the prompt for telling us that Israel and the Jews are evil and genocidal, the prompt for that was the massacre of Israelis and Jews. The conspicuous massacre, right? When you see that kind of event leading to not realizing that they were victims and now they have the ability to defend themselves. No, treating them as in fact, the aggressors and being genocidal, and anything that they do to defend themselves will make them even more genocidal. And that's spread across the world so that in unison, everybody is saying the same thing. That's what you need to focus on. Because as barbaric, as astronomically surprising and barbaric the Hamas attack was, it's still not as surprising as the reaction across the world. It is those reactions that you have to pay attention to. Right? That's how you see whether there's a moral contagion, a moral panic, a social contagion that's spreading through, that this doesn't make sense. And there's a new narrative that says whatever Israel does is bad. They're a disproportionately dangerous race, or whatever it might be in this case, right? That's what spread through. And of course, this is on the backdrop of 2 millennia of narratives which vilify the Jews. It's not de novo like it was in the case of COVID, but nevertheless there was a discontinuous, sudden rise and change in the narrative so that suddenly it spread across the world. And that's what you need to pay attention to. Pay attention less in these psychosocietal sweeps. Pay less attention to the specific arguments. It's not about the specific arguments you're hearing. When you see this kind of discontinuous change, and it's in fact doesn't even make sense. The charges of genocide are being waged at those that were just genocidally massacred, right? This tells you that this is a mass hysteria. This is a kind of moral panic, social contagion spreading all around the world, and it is still spreading. If you want to stand up to these waves, and they seem to be, I don't know if this is true, they seem to be getting worse, something we can talk about later. It seems like the internet being connected the way it is, so instead of every 2 years there being some poor schmuck country that ends up dealing with this stuff, now whenever there's one of these schmuck countries, it's in fact the whole world that experiences stuff. So we'll see whether this continues to happen. If you want to be immune to this, pay attention to these sudden, qualitative, irrational changes so that there suddenly becomes a righteous cult where people are righteously angry and want to control and tell everybody else what to do. And you're like, this doesn't even make sense. And you see that change, back up and say, wait a sec, something's not right. What's going on is not logical arguments driving people's opinions. It's irrational narratives driven by mass hysteria. That was your science moment.